All right, everybody, welcome back. We got Dathomir today. We don't need any fleets for this one, which is good. But that also means, as far as platoons are concerned, we don't need to worry about them because the platoon ability is a fleet ability. So also, I can't do platoons anyway because we do Dathomir over 2 days. And I think a lot of people do Dathomir over 2 days, which means you're not going to be able to go ahead and use the platoons in that first one anyway. So they don't matter and they don't matter. And they don't matter and it didn't matter if they even didn't matter. Anyways, moving on to the combat missions. We got 4 combat missions, and these are some of the most taxing, draining, exhausting, annoying combat missions in this game, unfortunately. And then we have this special mission over here, which is much more easily done, except some people are failing, which is understandable because it can still be annoying. But we have a special mission with the Merrin and the other Night Sisters. Okay, so we're gonna do the special mission last. We're gonna go ahead and start from the top, go downward. I'm gonna go ahead and show you the teams, and as always, go ahead and make sure you get your team set up in squads to make this easier. So Dathomir, to start off, we're gonna start at the top. Dathomir, Dr. Aphra, combat mission. There we go. Okay, so these are the 4 that I usually use with Dr. Aphra. I find that these tend to work, 85-95% success rate on full auto. Fear has a lot to do with it, and also just big AoEs, big damage numbers, ever scaling, things like that. You could potentially use Aphra's dark side droids and the other scoundrels and stuff. I just don't have them, so that's the problem. Mine are all R5 and I can't even show you here, so we're gonna go ahead and run with this and I'll show you how it goes. So go ahead and hit full auto, and then you're just gonna get stuck behind the zombie every now and then, so you just have to kind of wait that out. That'll happen, but eventually, hopefully, the idea is that a lot of these characters will build up such big AoEs, or kind of scale damage wise, and they'll just be able to kind of nuke out everybody. It actually, surprisingly, is often one of the more quicker teams to use, just because of those big damage numbers. I mean, Aphra scaling for sure. Bane's getting Siphon, and Starkiller is going into big form. So, and another thing is, like, these tunes aren't really used in any other areas in this phase, which is kind of nice. Malak definitely would have some use, I think, but he also has great use here. So, in the end, it's best to have him here. Get points no matter what, right? Perfect timing with Starkiller calling down the Star Destroyer. And then, yeah, every town, then when you can, if you find yourself able to, you can go ahead and click off of zombie, but at the end of the day, they're just going to keep on going through. Now, the big thing about these missions is the success rate can go down largely just because you never know when an AoE is going to perfectly time and take them out, right? But that was like less than a minute. Like, I mean, that was pretty good for Dathomir. That is incredible. So this team always has worked for me, and I don't really have a use for a lot of those tunes that normally are 2-person teams, or you need a very specific mixed team, like with Starkiller. You need full Sith Empire. Full Sith Empire might help. Well, you can't do full Sith Empire, but I don't have a lot of other characters at that level, so maybe well, I guess I do. I don't know, but Dr. Aphra ruins thing. You don't have a Sith Empire lead. Anyways, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Going off to Dathomir on the right hand side, we'll go ahead and get into this one. Again, going back to our handy dandy squads list, we're gonna go ahead and just run first order. Now, you can sub this in with other first order characters. This tends to work for me. It does work without Rey Dark Side Vision as well. It's just a little bit more dicey if you don't have that conquest character. The one thing I tend to do on this one is I will kind of sort of start with this stun here, and that's to get some stacks of siphon going, and then I go ahead and full auto, because if you don't do that, occasionally what can happen is Kylo Ren will just keep AoEing and not getting any stacks, because after he AoEs, he'll go into ult, and then he'll AoE, and then he'll AoE, and then it just creates a situation where he's not gaining any mastery off of his stacks of siphon. Okay, or you could just lose like that. Wow, unfortunate. Okay, You can still do exactly what I did because it works 85 to 95% of the time. That's if you've played Dathomir, you know that's how it goes. But if points are important to your guild, don't auto it. Okay, glad we got that one out of the way. Gonna make it easy on me. Okay, we're gonna go Dathomir left here. And for this, we're gonna use an Empire team. And you can do this. What I've found is kind of fun to do, or can help, is to sub in Watt here. So we'll scroll down and put in Watt. If you're not using Watt anywhere else, you can go ahead and put him in here to hopefully make it quite a bit easier. I found that it gets easier because you can put the weapons tech, the blast mod weapons tech on somebody to go ahead and take people out. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. And Dark Truther, Moff Gideon, Mara Jade, and Empire Lead. You don't want to do this on the Empire mission because then you can't use Watt. That's what I've discovered. So we're gonna go ahead and, I mean, he's gonna get taken out anyway. We'll put the weapons tech over on Empire or Emperor Palpatine so that he can die immediately. That's really important. But I really do kind of tend to hit auto here. And eventually they will succeed or they won't. That's not really in my control at the end of the day. But eventually, even without the weapons mod, what will usually happen is, I don't know the mechanics of it. I haven't figured it out. I've read kits. I'm just missing it. But eventually the zombie stops respawning. I don't know if that's intentional, but it does it with a number of teams. It could do it with General Grievous. Zombie's supposed to respawn, I think, no matter what, but eventually he just stops. I think it might have to do with the stacks. Back in the day, I think zombie didn't respawn if there were like a certain number of stacks going on. But I don't know. I haven't been able to figure it out. So somebody smarter than me could potentially tell me. But this will usually work on auto. This is probably 75% chance of success rate. Just because, again, those they can line up where they just AoE you all and it hurts. And especially going into wave 2, that can happen a little bit more frequently. But it's just one of those things. And then this one also takes a long time, unfortunately, because things are dying to AoEs, which you can't line up the AoEs to take them all out as easily when you're on full auto, or even when you're not on full auto. It could just be a pain to kind of line that up. Is he not putting the weapons tech on anybody, or are they just dying? But yeah, so it could be hard to line up the AoEs, and then that creates just a long battle. It works, and we're kind of running low on teams because we have so many combat missions this phase and in this planet. But yeah, this tends to work. Are they really gonna don't do it. Thank goodness. I thought they were gonna respond, but those kind of situations could go ahead and do it. And you know what? Again, I said it in my other videos. Occasionally, there's times where you might just want to hit auto really quick, turn it off, and do it manually, so they don't completely ruin a run like they almost did with that one, by letting everybody come back to life. But yeah, this one surprisingly works quite well on auto. For the most part, it did a lot better than Supreme Leader Kylo Ren apparently. But yeah, if anybody knows why, eventually, even without the blast tech weapon mod, I think it's like after so many times killing zombie just doesn't respawn. I cannot figure that out. If anybody else knows why, if there's some kit here, I normally would run Piet instead of Watt before I started running Watt. So I don't know if you've got an idea as to why that happens, then maybe there's a mechanic I'm missing, but I've seen it happen with Grievous too. So I don't run Grievous anymore because that one is it's hard to do on auto because it involves a lot of constantly having General Grievous die, putting the blast tech weapon mod back on him and things like that. But General Grievous with Separatist droids and Watt can definitely work here. You put the blast tech weapon mod on Grievous, he AoEs, and eventually they can't respond because of the blast tech weapon mod. So that's how it goes. Manual targeting can definitely help here to make sure that the right people are targeting, because they will get stuck behind zombies every now and then. So something to kind of consider. And this one can be annoying because it'll stealth and then you can't target it. Okay, I mean, I'm gonna leave it on full auto for the sake of the video, but annoyingly, we probably could have ended that. See? Oh no, yeah, the blast tech weapon mod. But even then, you're not supposed to be able to prevent revives. You see what I'm talking about? Okay. So I don't know what happened there. If anybody knows, put it in the comment down below, please. But yeah, not a bad squad. And then this leaves the full Empire team, which we newly have with the Lord Vader and the Darkside clones, which is pretty much guaranteed. So just go ahead and run that and hit auto. Again, a wild thing can happen with Dathomir, because they put out so much damage and it's just the right turn order and you don't get turns, and then all of a sudden you die. But it's less likely to happen because Scorch is a tank and he's a pretty beastie one at that. And then you got the protection up from CX2. Pretty quick work with AoEs there from Appo, and you just hope around the second one. Order 66 stops things from reviving. That's pretty good. But and then you're gonna get double value out of this video if you do Dathomir for 2 days, because then you get to use these teams all over again. There can be a temptation to go ahead and use Night Sisters, especially the Great Mother, outside of the special mission. Once you don't have to do the special mission, don't do that. It doesn't work as well in my experience, because they will just nuke you out. It's a completely different game, because in the special mission, which you'll see in a second, you're doing not Night Sisters. So pretty straightforward and easy there. Still annoyed that Supreme Leader that was just so unfortunate. Anyways, we're gonna go ahead and move into the Dathomir special mission. I'm gonna go ahead and remod. I'm remodding using hot utils here for a second. But there's a number of things you can do with this team. I tend to use the Night Trooper, Death Trooper Peridea, Great Mothers, and Morgan Elspeth with Merrin. You can have success if you swap out Death Trooper Peridea for Night Sister Zombie, because it's kind of nice to have a tank that can still respawn even when you're not supposed to be able to respawn. So that's something that I found can be helpful. But again, it's just one of those missions, as you can see with the, I'll show it again in a moment once we can get in, but it can still, you can still have mishaps, failures because of just the targeting and lots of damage coming out from those Night Sisters. Well, in this one, it's not Night Sisters, it's pirates, but sometimes the targeting can just be against you. And is it pirates or scoundrels? Right, smugglers, one of those three. Please, hot utils, can you just hurry up? You don't have to have hot utils obviously to remod, you just have to rely on mod loadouts. And you just set those all up, and they're a big savior in terms of time. We'll have to reload the game here, get back into it. And the reason I do the special mission last is because I'm going to take mods off my good characters if I do it first, which would create a ton of issues. So we kind of do it last, and then you can not worry about it for the remainder of the time. Okay, we'll go ahead and go in here. As you can see, it's not a guaranteed thing. This is just, Dathomir is just like this. So go ahead and go into the squads. What do I have down here? Or Merrion special mission up here. So again, you can swap out Zombie for Death Trooper Peridea and have a little bit more survivability. We're gonna run with the Night Trooper Death Trooper Peridea combo, and we'll try to get things done. So now I like to put the Blessed over here. Well, I mean, you have to target one of the tanked people, so that's just the thing. That's the Cursed. And then you put the Blessed. I like to put it on Night Trooper because he will get called to assist and he'll do lots of damage. There might be other ways to go about it, but that's just the way I do it. So we'll go ahead and do that. Now, this is not auto, by the way. You want to time your abilities because you want to have your abilities going into the second phase here. But so you're going to kind of save your mass swarm towards the end of this. Once you have the ability to target Hondo if you can, and then go in on Hondo, try to get him out. The ability order doesn't matter a ton for the other guys. It's mainly focusing on having Morgan Elspeth's abilities up and running. If you find somebody low that wasn't low enough, target with Death Trooper Peridea's second special, and then you can kind of chain those back to back. But that's a matter of finding it. So I'm going to save the cleanse there too, because we don't need it. We can wait until we get into the much tougher phase 2 of this. So just go ahead and keep taking people out. Do not use this. You don't need to use this because you can't summon, because Great Mothers is a large unit. So I know people have occasionally used that and been like, hey, what the hell? Why didn't my B2 battle droid? And then, well, that's because Great Mothers is 3 people. So stop being greedy. Do not use the mass assist. You want to save the mass assist for these end times, because you're going to need it in the next phase. So, and then also, if you can kind of time it a little bit towards Morgan Elspeth going first in the next round, you kind of want to do that because it will help you a lot. So we got good turn meter on there. Now we're going to target Maul to kind of get him out early. We don't want him doing his all stacks of things. And then we're going to mass assist. Line it up just like that. Now we should be able to go ahead and take him out. Tenacity down helps a ton. So then we can stun him, which makes taking him out easier. And this would be a situation where low health enemy, you use the bite so that you can refresh and do it again. Next target is dash, because the AoE is going to hurt. So can't quite take him out. We'll go ahead and put down the tenacity down, defense down. Go ahead and use the cleanse right there and get a bunch of help. And then once you take out dash, you're pretty much good to hit auto. Dash blowing things up is where the run can go sideways. And then obviously if you don't manage Maul in the beginning, Maul into dash and then into Kira's special could just, yeah, you blow up your whole team. So, but it's way easier than it used to be. It used to be forever. It would take forever, and it would be completely random whether or not you got blown up. With Great Mothers, the Night Troopers, Morgan Elspeth, much easier. So mods will be down in the description below for this team. So you can go ahead and take a look at those, try to get close to them. And I mean, it's really just a matter of good mods. It's not a matter of hitting any specific targets or anything like that, but those are just kind of there for a framework for you to use. If you got usefulness out of this video, go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button for more content guides like this, and make sure you hit the notification bell so you know when they all go live. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.